A man checks into the Hotel de Crillon, one of the most powerful addresses in the city. He orders stationery. Not personal stationery. Government stationery. Forged letterhead from the French Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs, so precise that no one in the room he's about to enter will think to question it. He is about to convince 6 wealthy men that the French government has decided, quietly, to sell the Eiffel Tower for scrap. And when it's over, when he has vanished with a fortune, and there is nothing anyone can do about it, he is going to come back and do it again. This is the story of Victor Lustig. Investigators who studied him later called him one of the most dangerous con men alive. And what he did in that hotel room isn't just a story about a lie. It's a story about exactly how far a lie can go if you understand what people are afraid to admit they want. By 1925, the Eiffel Tower wasn't the icon it is today. It had been built for a World's Fair 36 years earlier, and it was only ever supposed to stand for 20. By the mid-20s, it was a rusting liability. Paint peeled off its beams in sheets. City officials were tired of paying to maintain it. And French newspapers had actually begun quietly floating the idea, what if it just came down? Most people who read that story turned the page. Lustig read it and saw a door. If the public could believe the tower might be demolished, he reasoned, then the right kind of ambitious, greedy businessmen could be made to believe the government had already made that decision and was looking for someone to quietly take the scrap off their hands. He forged the ministry credentials. He selected 6 of Paris' top scrap metal dealers, handpicked, based on how badly each of them wanted to be seen as untouchable, as men who got calls the others didn't. And he summoned them to a private meeting. They had no idea they'd just been marked. This is where it stops being a con and starts being something closer to theater, because what Lustig did next required nerve most criminals simply don't have. Posing as a senior government official, he told the 6 men, in careful, confidential tones, that the upkeep on the tower had become an embarrassment the government could no longer justify. The decision had been made. It would be sold for scrap. 7,000 tons of iron. A fortune in raw material. But it had to stay quiet. The public loved that tower, even if the officials didn't. One leak to the press, he warned them, and the whole arrangement would collapse along with anyone connected to it. Then he walked them out to the tower itself. In broad daylight. Playing the exhausted bureaucrat, gesturing at rust, and peeling paint like a man forced into an unpleasant duty. He asked for sealed bids. He gave them a deadline. And he let the silence and the secrecy do exactly what he needed it to do, make each man terrified of losing the deal to one of the others in the room. Among them was André Poisson. New money. Desperate to be taken seriously by Paris' old guard. And Lustig had already identified him as the weak point before the meeting even started. When Poisson's wife began asking dangerous questions, why is a government sale happening in a hotel room and not a ministry office, Lustig leaned in close, dropped his voice, and admitted something off the record. His government salary, he said, was modest. A man handling paperwork this large could always use something extra to make it move faster. It was a bribe request. And it was the trap closing. Because the moment Poisson agreed to pay it, every one of his doubts evaporated. A corrupt official asking for a kickback didn't feel like a red flag. It felt like proof. This is how these things actually work, he told himself. This is real. Poisson paid for the Eiffel Tower. He paid the bribe on top of it. Lustig walked out of Paris with a fortune. And Poisson was left holding a deed to something that was never for sale, too humiliated to tell a single soul. Here is the detail that should genuinely unsettle you. Lustig didn't run. He waited because he'd already calculated exactly what shame does to a wealthy man. Poisson wasn't going to the police. What would he say? That he'd handed over a fortune for a national monument without asking a single hard question? That he'd personally bribed a government official to close the deal faster? That confession wouldn't just cost him money. It would end him. Lustig was right. No police report. No headlines. Silence. So a month later, he came back to Paris. New forged letterhead. 5 new scrap dealers. The same secret meeting. The same private tour. The same tower sold a second time to men who never knew a first sale had ever happened. This time, a mark grew suspicious early and went straight to the authorities. Lustig fled the country within hours, resurfacing in the United States, where his career of manipulation only escalated, including, by some accounts, a scheme against Al Capone himself, in which Lustig took Capone's money, returned it months later claiming the deal had collapsed, and let Capone's own respect for apparent honesty save his life. It wasn't until 1935, arrested in New York on counterfeiting charges, that Victor Lustig's run finally ended, in a cell at Alcatraz. What makes Victor Lustig's story endure isn't just the sheer audacity of selling a national landmark that was never his to sell. It's that he understood something about human psychology that most con artists only half grasp. He didn't just lie to people. He built a stage, gave everyone a role to play, and let their own ambition and insecurity do the rest of the work for him. The scrap dealers wanted to believe they'd been chosen for an exclusive, secret deal. Poisson wanted so badly to belong among Paris' elite that he mistook a bribe request for reassurance. Victor Lustig didn't sell the Eiffel Tower. He sold a story people desperately wanted to be true. And maybe that's the real lesson here. The best cons in history were never about the con artist's skill with a forged document or a fake title. They were about finding the one thing a person wants to believe and simply handing it to them.